The Lions had one of the better rushing offenses in the NFL last season. They ranked 11th with nearly 130 yards per game and 23 total rushing touchdowns. In fantasy football, they had 2 running backs crack the top 20 in fantasy points per game. Apparently, that wasn't enough, though, as they used the 2023 offseason to upgrade both the running back roles. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round of the NFL draft to replace DeAndre Swift, and then they added David Montgomery in free agency to improve upon the Jamal Williams role. But that opens up some questions for those of us who play fantasy football. How will this Lions backfield play out? Is it as simple as Jahmyr Gibbs takes on the DeAndre Swift role and David Montgomery is the new Jamal Williams? Perhaps, but there are many who believe that Jahmyr Gibbs will be a bell cow, leaving behind the scraps for David Montgomery. Now, the answer probably lies somewhere in between. Our mission today is to dive into this Lions backfield to determine how the touches will be distributed and which running back that we want for 2023 fantasy football. Let's dig in. For starters, both David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs should be thrilled to be running behind this Lions offensive line. After all, they produced the league's highest touchdown scorer last year. David Montgomery is coming from a Bears offensive line that ranked below league average in yards generated before contact. The Lions, on the other hand, ranked 3rd. And that was with a line that was never all healthy at one time. The production in all areas of an offense benefits when you have a great front 5. And that was no different in Detroit, as they were one of 3 teams, the Bills and the Eagles being the other 2, to finish the year top 12 in both rushing yards and passing yards in 2022, and they finished top 5 in total points scored. The Lions signed David Montgomery to a 3-year deal worth $18 million this offseason. He left the Bears after 4 seasons where he ran for more than 3,600 yards and 30 total touchdowns. He now joins one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL and certainly the most talented he's ever been a part of. He ran behind a poorly constructed offensive line in Chicago, so he will surely appreciate the upgrade in Detroit. It feels cliche to say at this point, but David Montgomery projects to slide right into the role that Jamal Williams held on his way to 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. Yet David Montgomery is a better version of Jamal Williams across the board. He's bigger, he evades more tackles, he's more efficient as a runner, and he adds more value in the passing game. Montgomery was an RB1 in fantasy football in 2 of the last 3 seasons, and he scored as an RB2 or better 18 times over those last 2 years. So we know he can produce. But what can we expect from the rookie? First off, it is important that we remind ourselves that he is a rookie. He has yet to step on an NFL field, and he has yet to produce a single NFL stat, so we must be careful when projecting him into a significant role right out the gate. However, it's safe to say that Jahmyr Gibbs will take the Lions' share of the receiving work. This is a guy who caught 103 passes over 3 college seasons. In fact, we could consider him as one of, if not the, best receiving running back to enter the NFL since Christian McCaffrey. He even led the entire Alabama team in receptions last year, including wide receivers. While Jahmyr Gibbs led the Crimson Tide in rushing as well, he was not nearly as prolific on the ground in college as he was as a pass catcher. He never cracked 1,000 yards, and he often split carries. And I think that's about what we can expect from him at the NFL level as well, especially early in his rookie season. Jahmyr Gibbs projects for around 50 receptions in his rookie season, but will average somewhere around like 7 to 10 carries per game. And that's more than plenty to be an RB2 in fantasy football. As for David Montgomery, he's likely to dominate the early down work and get the red zone touches. In an offense that was in the top half of the league in rushing yards last year and produced the league's highest touchdown scorer, that's a pretty awesome role. Now, he may not score 17 touchdowns, but David Montgomery can realistically get to 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns with about 30 receptions in this offense. And yes, I said 30 receptions. The Lions targeted running backs 115 times last year. Not all of that is going to go to Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery has proven to be underrated in the passing game, and he's averaged 3 receptions per game over the last 3 seasons. When adding that to his rushing numbers, we should easily get a top 24 running back season from David Montgomery. The reality is both of these running backs are going to be startable in fantasy football. But if we're choosing just one, there is a clear winner. While their projected fantasy points are similar, their ADPs are 4 rounds apart. David Montgomery is available in the 8th round on Underdog. When selecting him, we're doing it over guys like Quentin Johnston, George Pickens, Gabe Davis, and Isaiah Pacheco. For Gibbs, on the other hand, his Underdog ADP currently resides in the 4th round as the RB13. We're having to decide on him versus Najee Harris, Christian Watson, Travis Etienne, Joe Burrow, and Jerry Jeudy. That is a massive difference in opportunity cost versus Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And as someone who believes David Montgomery will be the higher scoring running back in this Lions backfield, or at least close to it, it's a no-brainer that David Montgomery is the running back that I want in 2023. Hey, if you like that video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment on what you want me to talk about next. You can find all my stuff, my rankings, articles, podcasts, more videos like this on yardsperfantasy.com. Just download the Yards Per Fantasy app, and we thank you for your support.